The unwieldy and convoluted size of the governance structure is continually being blamed as a critical factor inhibiting the growth and development of the Nigerian nation. Many of those who ran for public office during the last elections promised to cut down the size of governance. In the aftermath, however, there appears to be just a few who are willing to match their words with action. So where lies the problem? Segun Sowunmi aspired to become governor of Ogun State in southwest Nigeria, and he joins us now to discuss the apparent tone deafness of governments both at federal and state levels towards the call for a compact government structure and the need to reduce cost of governance in Nigeria. It's good to have you on the show, Mr. Sowunmi.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's go straight into it now. Though the cost of governance that is incurred by the government in the course of providing goods and services to the citizenry, the statistics on its effects on the national economy and the Human Development Index are humongous and unsustainable. Now, according to Statista.com, the percentage of the GDP that our political leaders spend on running government rose from 12.82% in 2018 to 12.52% in 2019. It slowed down in 2012, but escalated to 13.34% in 2021. Now, we went ahead to 14.27% in 2022 and is currently estimated to be at 14.24%. Now, how critical is it for the government, both at the federal and state levels, to address the issues of high cost of governance as part of a comprehensive solution to the fiscal crisis, especially now that we're dealing with a fuel subsidy, floating of the naira, and more Nigerians going into poverty, into multi-dimensional poverty? Mr. Sowunmi.
Thank you very much. You have laid the foundation very, very well. You see, sometimes you have to ask, what exactly stimulates growth in a nation? Aside all of the things you are calling policy, because Nigeria has never been, unable to produce policy, there's also a very critical component that we're leaving behind, which is the attitude, the candor, and the general feel about the leadership of the country relative to the people in the country. If you say we can no longer provide subsidy for petroleum product, which touches everybody, and you say you don't have the ability to stem those who are abusing the process, and you tell the Nigerian citizens they have to deal with inflation and all of that, suggesting that truly we don't have money, and you now need to do a whole lot more to remanage and recalibrate the economy, you will expect that any leader will know that he has to show the ability to reduce waste from where he stands. And it starts with the size of the government. You cannot come at this particular time and give us the kinds of numbers you are giving us. We are still expecting 3 more to join because Kaduna doesn't have just yet. So let's just say you're going to have 48 ministers. When you are under our circumstance, you will ask that, really, what is the value of this concept of Minister of State and line ministry? Then you would then say, if the federal government is behaving this way, how does it encourage the states to do otherwise? And I think it has to do with the fact that we have not accepted that picking of ministers is not patronage for politicians or those who have supported you in public office. There was a time when that type of behavior could be tolerated. This is such a time. You can clearly tell that everybody in the country is struggling. You are even demonstrating that you recognize that struggle, albeit you are putting forward a very unfortunate concept of palliative delivery and what constitutes support. And at the same time, you're putting together these kinds of government. It's too expensive. We're not at that stage now. We need all of the trimming and the tightening of the belt everywhere. And you can't do it that way and then expect that you can, inspire your governors. So there is no simpler way. I'm telling you for free, that statistics you even reeled out, however reliable it is, does not fully capture the total cost of that government. You have the huge infrastructure for the legislature, the Senate, and the rep that we have by camera, and what that entails. You have the federal government now and all its agency. Forgetting we have the Onosai report, which is telling us we can reduce the size of government, and it becomes more painfully unacceptable for a President Bola Tinubu, and I'll tell you why. For decades, the conversation in the part of the country where it has come from is restructuring and deregulating and putting more powers to the zones. And I have also known that a lot of people who have worked around the president, either as president or vice president, always tell you that the power at the center is too much and probably unwieldy. Why would you come at a time when you are inheriting a government that is from your party, where yourself and your government of APC created the mess, and now you are coming to shove it in our face as though everybody must scale down, but you in the national, you must scale up. That cannot be right, that cannot be correct, and you will not be showing the right attitude and the right reason for the Nigerians to empathize with his government and, have hope with his government. You've been elected since February. You're putting your government, your ministers together now. There's nothing that says in the law that you have to wait until the very last day before you bring up your ministers. And you don't have to then bring people that all of us within the Nigerian space can tell you, really, we can't find somebody else but this one. We can't find somebody else but this one. We can't find somebody else but this one. And you cannot have an economy that is slightly pinching the populace. And then you start to encourage your ministers to speak over the heads of the people they want to serve in a bully, garrulous, I'm going to do this, we are going to do... No. You are going to lose the citizen that way. And even if the citizens are helpless, because election has come and gone, you are going to ensure that you cannot give them the gusto and the hope and the passion that you need that can drive their patriotism. The people cannot be in a recession sort of, or be in an austerity measure better put, and the government will be in a largesse of everything goes, we can do it anyhow we like, we can be same or same. The overfed members of the society are still the same one you insist are the best and the brainiest and the cleverest and the most capable in a nation that is not, having a drought of human resource either at home or in the diaspora. So it's too big. It's not a reflection of where we are now. And one would have expected a whole lot more, especially from him.
Indeed, Mr. Sowunmi. Now, the United States, with a large economy and population, has 15 cabinet secretaries or ministers and a streamlined federal structure despite its huge size. So why can't Nigeria replicate same? And since we're also borrowing from the federal government structure, and where is the place of the federal character status in all of these permutations, you think?
Today is a beautiful day on Arise. I've always loved you guys. Well done for that. You see, what other serious-minded nations do is that they reduce the administrative heads and probably expand the, institutions under them. They create the type of institution that can build and move the economy, but they ensure that the control and the levers that will help you to manage it is not too large. The American government is by no means small because they have a lot of agencies, institutions that are doing incredible things, but they make sure that you don't come to a cabinet with 42 people who will probably just be unable to contribute serious conversations to the argument on the table. The vast majority of them will not even see you. You will have a situation where memos are piled up in front of your administrative back end, and people will then create another cabal. Some people will be favorites of a 48-member committee to think about how to get Nigeria out of the mess. How does that even make sense? How does it even reflect that you understand what federal character is? Federal character says you should have at least one per state. I think it's time for us to even figure out what to do with that. That should give you 37. And if you stay on that 37, we can at least say that you were restrained by the law. What would be your excuse for being on 48? And then to make it much more difficult to accept that you are following anything that is equitable. We have seen that some zones got more than some other zones. A state like my Ogun, yeah, okay, thank you, you gave us like 3. We're getting 3, whereas a whole zone like the Southeast is getting 5. So technically what you're saying to us with your attitude is that if the Federal Character Commission if the Constitution did not say take 1 per state, probably you would have come up with a cabinet and the Southeast would not even get 1. Because while the others get 10 and why are they getting 5? And I'm not trying to, play to the gallery or anything like that. I'm just saying that you have no right to make the cabinet this big when you are telling us you need to trim down. And don't forget, with every cabinet member, you're going to find accommodation. You're going to find vehicle. You're going to find aids. You're going to find furniture allowance. Some of these people are going to even be drawing double pension. And then the one that makes it exactly hard is that you have gone into the legislature, men that have already won elections and have been sworn in. You have pulled them out of the legislature. You have pulled them into the executive. You have not bothered to ask yourself, who is going to pay for the cost of another election to replace them? And if you can say you can fund your ruling party, who's going to bear the burden on behalf of the opposition party? We have 18 political parties. All 18 of them have to find another way to do an election in Surulere, where Gbaja comes from. They have to do another one where Umai comes from. They have to do another one where all of the people that chose to be legislators come from. Are you saying that in all of those places where you pick those men and maybe women, you can't find anybody in this country that could have allowed you to let them be their legislator and let us find people that can be in cabinet? I think our selection philosophy, especially his own, which is, I'm going to set up a cabinet in a manner to reward people that I think have played one role or the other in politics, or I'm going to set up the cabinet having another next election in mind, instead of just giving us something lean, giving us something, agile, and giving us something that we can say, okay, we're creating a new set of leaders. Why should we be repeating the same people? Okay, I've seen a few young people there. I'll be eager to see how those ones behave, and I'll be praying to God that those ones represent another generation and another style of things, but I am not impressed with the same that he has put there.
Okay, Mr. Sowunmi, there's a train of thoughts that strengthening public financial management reforms at both federal and state levels might be the answer. Now, how might enforcing the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the medium-term expenditure framework, and the Treasury single account help enhance fiscal discipline, accountability, and transparency in Nigeria's government operations?
Bless you. If there be one phrase or one adjective that one could use to answer all of this, because we have not seen the impact from the time that their APC government have been running it since 2015, is that we have become a nation of zero accountability and zero consequence. You cannot run an African economy as robust as Nigeria in a manner that seeks to suggest that people can do whatever they like when they have this responsibility and there will be zero consequence for them. The guiltiest of them all are the subnational headsmen, governors. It's too difficult to explain how we can be in a nation where people will come in and say they want to govern. I wanted to govern in Ogun. Of course, I think we won that election, that are able to, and PDP won that election, but that's stuff for another day. I can't imagine how we are going to be a people who every governor is trying to say he can afford a private jet only because he's governed here. I can't imagine how we are pretending as if we can't track what is happening with these guys with our money. I can't imagine how we're not saying to ourselves that these guys are not running local government in an autonomous manner, as if we don't know that you can only grow an economy from the base of the economy. I can't accept that we are going to continue doing the same and expect another result. So you can create all the laws you want. You can create all the protocols you want, and all of those ones you've listed. If we do not have a desire to ensure that there are consequences, we're just going to be dancing around the circle. Take what is happening to us in the financial and the forex sector. How do you come to the public space and tell us that between the times you've come in May 29 till date, it's only one individual, the governor of central bank, that you can hold till date. Is that supposed to suggest that since you've had him in, since you've been looking at the books, you have not been able to see the people that did the arbitrage, you've not been able to see people that abused the forex process? You don't have, the Bola Tinubu government is not indicating the, the belief or the perception that they have the courage or the gravitas to review the government that they were a part of in APC that got us into this mess. How did they open the CBN books now after the acting governor telling us the kinds of things he's telling us relative to the fact that some guy was CBN governor without approval, went abroad to borrow money from money banks, pledged our resources on it, brought the money, and then in the books of the bank, they wrote a certain amount, and when now they've done the audits, we don't have that kind of, we don't have that resources, so they cook the books. And you have been here, it's almost 100 days, and you've not been able to, rein people in. You've not been able to call people and ask for accountability. How do you tell the Nigerian people that, okay, the government of Nigeria cannot pay subsidy anymore? Granted. And you cannot tell us who are those that abuse the subsidy regime. I'm not sure it's you and I that, did all of that. And you can't do these things without a paper trail or a money trail. So any nation that is in a dire strait like we are in, who needs to grow its economy and expand it, cannot come to this space and be talking about taxation, without telling us what the consequence. Another one I want to add very quickly. How do you come into this country and you don't wonder that, how come all our banks have been posting profits consistently for the past 10 years? The real sector is not growing, and the banks are posting profit, and you don't think, as a new headsman, you need to start asking them, gentlemen, I'm curious to know what you are investing in, that you're doing so well, whereas the real sector of the economy is slacking. We can go on and on. Everything is not because you are angry with them or you are not in their party or another. We are all Nigerians, and we are partners in trying to make sure that this country works. You have not brought anything to the table to the poor. And you can't be talking to a nation like Nigeria with our human resource that your concept of palliative is doling out rice. Okay, when you finish eating this bunch of bags of rice, that maybe one village will get one bag, what next? Are you going to be sending them rice every week, every day? How long? And why are you even using rice as the signpost? Are we buying them in Nigeria? Do we own them? Do we manufacture them? Why are you not doing what you can call like a food basket or a food idea of what a Nigerian should deal with now? And why are you not making sure that those things are things that we ourselves are growing, so that even if you are putting in that money, you can be sure that it's going to help our agriculture? What's going on with us here? So it's as if one is beginning to think that, hey, these guys were saying they wanted this, they wanted that. They want to remove palliative, they want to remove subsidy and all that. But they're not thinking of the knock-on effect. What was their plan on that? You have done the R&E window. Do you even have enough forex to be able to ensure that you can get that stability? Your NNPC has gone to borrow $3 billion. How long can that even really last us? Now you're coming up with another concept that you're going to float dollar in the Nigerian bourse and the stock exchange. I like the fancy talk, but when you start to put $5 billion in the hands of subnational governors in a wholesale manner without recognizing that you cannot do palliative to the poor from the federal other than by retail. When you start to say your social register from the last time is so bad, it has to be discarded, don't you think that already means you have to ask a question? What happened with all of the money we bled in that direction? Why is the social register not working? Why can't we clean it up and keep it on? When you now begin, so I use an axiom by saying, you are sending the cat, by that I mean governors, with the fish, by that I mean the money, to go and give it to the rat, by that I mean with the people, as if you think the rat can ask the cat what happened to the fish. And you're not even thinking about the possibility, the potential possibility that a sizable amount of that, your wholesale money, can find itself again to the black market, putting more pressure on the naira. No, this is not how to run the country, please. It's like they are doing voodoo economics, trial and error, jack knee. It's confusing, really. It's confusing. Let's hope that now that they have a cabinet, that they can quickly get to serious business and we can see the direction.
Hopefully soon. And just before we let you go, Mr. Sowunmi, interestingly, you've highlighted some perspectives there, and I'm glad you mentioned the word desire to get this done. So let's talk about fiscal discipline, which also goes with cutting measures. Is Nigeria's Budget Office or department proactive in advocating for these cutting measures over time in governance? They're the ones who will prepare the budget and all of these financial spendings as well. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to be fair, I kind of like pity the man Bola Tinubu in the sense that I'm able to say he was not the one that was in charge of the country before. I'm just not allowing him to escape the consequences of a government he's a part of. But I want to see, now that he has brought in, I saw one young man he brought in terms of helping them with taxation and all that. I like the kinds of things he's saying. I heard him on your program yesterday night. I'm eager to see how it will be implemented. I'm eager to see how he would tame the covetousness of the people that claim to be, the ones that mill around him. I'm eager to see how everything will work seamlessly. And I'm eager for Nigerians to see the true result and the quantum leap of this government. Because at the end of the day, we cannot keep doing the same thing and accepting the same result. And it comes majorly with political will. And I repeat, this nation has to move away from a nation of pretending as if they don't know what is wrong to become a nation of consequences. There has to be consequences for people, especially those of them that have been given responsibility to manage us and who have access to our till. If we do that, we'll see that a lot of confidence will come into the Nigerian economy.
Definitely accountability, transparency, and consequences for actions. Former PDP Governorship Aspirant in Ogun State, Mr. Segun Sowunmi, thank you so much for being on Newsday today.